In today's video, we have some NHL roster and injury updates here to discuss. We've seen some new guys go down on injury, ended up on IR. We've seen some other guys return. Plus, we've seen some other players have some significant updates on how long they're going to be out. We'll get you all up to speed coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So as I mentioned off the top, we have a lot of injury updates and roster moves here to discuss to get you fully up to date where all these teams are at here right now with their current roster situation. Now, first of all, let's get started here with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Austin Matthews. Now, we last reported on this the other day when Matthews went down with the injury against the Winnipeg Jets after taking a check from Jacob Trouba, and now it's been revealed that he will be out for a minimum of 4 weeks. That's certainly not good news. You could tell when Matthews went off the ice, it was clearly his shoulder that was bothering him on the left side. You could tell he was in a lot of discomfort and certainly was not good news for him in the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, his previous shoulder injury he suffered last year was on the other side, so hard to say that's really good news or bad news, really. I guess it's always good to not re-injure the same area that you injured before, but now to have two shoulders going through that type of injury certainly isn't good long-term. Obviously, once you have that type of injury, it is never quite fully the same and certainly a little bit easier to injure in the future. So hopefully Matthews can return. We've seen Toronto play their first game without him last night against the Calgary Flames. They unfortunately went down to defeat 3-1. It was basically a 2-1 game with an empty net goal here near the end. But the Leafs certainly did not have a great game. They certainly did not seem to be in it at all. They did try hard at the end to kind of get things tied up. But they fell short against the Calgary Flames. So obviously they're going to have some other guys, like a prime candidate would be Nazem Kadri and Mitch Marner, to kind of step up here and really elevate their games even further to see if they can pick up the slack here left by Matthews' absence. Now, when we saw Matthews out of the lineup last year for the Leafs, it didn't do too bad. So they should be able to do about the same or better this year, considering their forward depth is at least as good, if not better, than it was at this time last season. So certainly leave your comments down below. I'd love to know what you think on what kind of impact this is going to have on the Maple Leafs. How well do you think they can do with Austin Matthews sidelined for a minimum of 4 weeks? Now, very well could be a little bit longer than that. It's really hard to say. Some of these injuries are hard to evaluate, but looking at least a month, could end up being a little bit longer. So he's probably looking at missing somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 or 15 games before he returns. Now, the St. Louis Blues are getting a bunch of players back. They also have some guys on IR still as well. As we saw just the other day here, Jake Allen went down after a collision with teammate Zach Sanford. So it's not quite clear exactly how long he's going to be out. There hasn't really been a lot of updates on Jake Allen since that occurred. But they are getting a bunch of guys back. They called up 4 players from their American Hockey League team, 3 of which were down on conditioning assignments, getting ready to come off injury reserve. Now, that list includes forward Robbi Fabbri, who was hoping to make his return here this year after being out for an extended period of time, basically about a year and a half or more now. And he ended up getting hurt again in the preseason and is ready to hopefully make his season debut here this week. So Fabbri is back and ready to go by the looks of it. He hasn't been officially taken off LTIR as of yet, but that should be happening here soon before their next game. They also got Nikita Soshnikov and Carl Gunnarsson back as well. They were also on injury reserve and should be activated here this week and ready to jump into the lineup should the coach feel they're ready to be put in. I would imagine Fabbri will be in for sure. The other 2 is a little bit debatable, but I would think all 3 will see some playing time here this week. Now, of course, with Allen going down with injury here, it looks as though it could be a possible head or neck injury, could be a concussion. Haven't really seen any updates yet on his status, but they have called up youngster Ville Husso to serve in a goaltending role here, probably as a backup. I would imagine if Allen is going to be out, that Johnson likely gets the next start with Husso serving as backup, at least short term. But depending on how long Allen will be out, I would not be surprised to see Husso get a start here sometime soon. Johnson's play's been okay, but it hasn't been fabulous either. So we'll see how things go with the goaltending situation in St. Louis, but they will hopefully be rejuvenated here after getting some bodies back here from IR. And they do still have some other guys that are out, but nice to see some of these guys here making their returns to the lineup, especially Fabbri, who's been, a long road here trying to get back in healthy and get back into the lineup. Defenseman Tory Krug set to hopefully make his season debut this week as well. And of course, they're still without defenseman Charlie McAvoy. They officially put McAvoy on IR finally just yesterday, which is retroactive back to when he was first injured back, I believe it was against the Oilers around 10, 11 days ago, I think it was, when he was first injured here. So McAvoy is officially on IR, but he will be eligible to be activated as soon as he's healthy and able to play. So it's not quite clear exactly How much longer he'll be out, probably another game or two, but hard to say until we get further updates here from the Bruins. But it does look as though they're going to get a little bit of an infusion here with Krug ready to jump back into the lineup, which will be a big help. I mean, Boston's done pretty well so far, considering all the injuries they've had on the back end. I mean, we've had McAvoy out, Krug hasn't played yet, and they've done well considering all things here. So getting an offensive defenseman back who can help on the power play with a team that's already doing relatively well should this be that much more positive for the Bruins here moving forward. They can get Krug back in and then get McAvoy back here in the next game or two. Then they'll hopefully be close to having their full decor back and healthy, and see what they can do here with actually having a full lineup. As we reported here not too long ago as well, Zach Smith of the Ottawa Senators is going to be out for an extended period of time after getting basically a skate to the face. He did end up having surgery here in the last day or two. Not quite clear exactly when the surgery took place. Zach Smith ended up having 3 different fractures in a bone in his face have to be repaired. So basically the diagnosis here is for the next week he's not allowed to have any activity whatsoever. And then after that he can slowly start getting back into rehab here and start skating and get ready to play. Once he does play, he'll likely play with a full shield for a period of time, but it is being estimated right now that he's probably looking at 3 to 4 weeks before he can return. But that's the early prognosis. We'll see how things go and how things heal, but he can't even start skating for at least a week here because the way that everything has to heal and whatnot. So scary situation for Zach Smith. I'm sure he's having a lot of pain. Having a broken bone in your face is no fun at all. I'm sure that's certainly one of the more painful injuries that you could go through here, but he's a tough customer. I'm sure he'll be back soon, but looking at probably about 3 to 4 weeks before he makes his return. Now, another guy ready to make his return here is New Jersey Devils goaltender Corey Schneider. Schneider should be ready to play. It's not exactly clear what game he's going to jump into the lineup here and get the net, but he is expected to play sometime this week for New Jersey. Obviously, Schneider's been out here after recovering from off-season surgery, so he's ready to make his debut. So it will be interesting to see how well he does. Keith Kincaid has played relatively well in Schneider's absence. So obviously, right now you can say Kincaid is the starter. I think that's a safe bet. And it also will be interesting to see how Schneider performs. I mean, the Devils might be in a situation where they might look to even trade him if he can, stay healthy and get his play up to par here and look half decent sometime in the near future, because Corey Schneider has this year and 3 more years left on his contract at $6 million, where Keith Kincaid is going to need a new contract after this season. So they very well could save some money there. And plus, if Kincaid appears to be the goaltender that they want to run with going forwards, we'll see what Schneider plays like once his return. I don't imagine they're going to rush into anything. They need, a second capable goaltender as well. They do have Eddie Lack in the system, but I think they would probably have more confidence in Schneider than Lack at this point in time. Wouldn't be a complete shock at some point here to see the Devils maybe consider a trade for Schneider, but like I said, I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. We'll see how he plays, and hopefully he can stay healthy here for the Devils. Now, lastly here, one new fresh injury that occurred last night was Brandon Sutter of the Vancouver Canucks. He kind of fell awkwardly into the board shoulder first. As he skated off the ice, he clearly had a left shoulder injury. So very well could end up being a very similar type, or if not exact same type of injury that Matthews is going through here. All the Canucks have said, since it's so early, just happened late last night, is that he's going to be out for weeks, is what they've said. So, like Matthews, he's probably looking at a 3 to 4 week minimum period, depending on the severity of the injury. But you could tell as soon as it happened, he was in a lot of pain, just as he skated off, the way that arm and shoulder was being positioned and how he was kind of favoring it. You could tell that it's exactly the same thing pretty much that Austin Matthews is going through. The Canucks have certainly had their fair share of injuries lately. They got Elias Pettersson back last night, who looked fantastic, had a couple of great goals. Brock Besser had just come back before that, but they still have some guys out on IR. Goaltender Anders Nilsson has a finger injury. He's out for a while. They're still without Jay Beagle, who's going to be out for a while as well. And of course, it's not really clear yet how long Sven Baertschi and Alex Edler are going to be out as well, as Baertschi's kind of in concussion protocol, and Edler's injured too. So they're going to be without some of these guys for a while, but they're certainly continue their winning ways. They beat Minnesota last night, so we'll see how the Canucks do here. They're certainly dealing with their fair share of adversity early on, but they keep continuing to win and keep finding ways to get the job done. They've got a fairly impressive record so far for a team that really wasn't expected to do a whole lot this year, so we'll see if they can keep it up. But their youngsters are leading the way here, especially Elias Pettersson, who's kind of helping that team get back to respectability. So those are all your news and notes on all the NHL injury situation between guys going down and guys coming back. Lots of guys getting hurt lately, but obviously lots of guys returning as well. So we'll see how all these teams make out. Love to hear your comments down below in the comment section on how these teams are going to cope without some of these guys, and as well what kind of infusion here some of these teams are going to get with some of these guys coming back, and we can continue the conversation down in the comment section. If you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.